Good morning. It is Tuesday, March 31st, and today we're going to be doing a graphite drawing, kind of a fantastical one, of a giant messing with a kid who's fishing. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to draw an inverted egg shape, kind of just above the middle of your area that we're drawing in here, okay? So on the right hand side, inverted egg shape here. It's very interesting trying to come up with things to draw every single day. And so my wife suggested, hey, why don't you do something that you've already done over 20 years ago? So this is something I drew on a car ride back from a conference down in Riverside, UC Riverside. And so I am kind of returning to this concept of a large giant kind of messing with a young boy who is trying to fish. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing some really forced perspective here of the giant. So the shapes for the hands are kind of like parallelograms, you might call them. Yeah. So he's kind of taking up a big chunk of room. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of put a tree. He's like coming around a tree. So we're going to put this tree. And the initial drawing that I did was kind of a really curvy tree. And the giant is kind of coming from behind the tree. Okay. So again, kind of an oval shape or inverted egg shape here. We're losing a lot of information for the giant's arm that's in kind of a forced perspective. And he's kind of crawling on his hands and knees to kind of come towards the boy who's fishing. And the boy who's fishing is going to be kind of in the crook of the trunk of this tree. And it's on the edge of a river. All right. So we're going to put the young man down here. And he's going to be kind of resting in that crook. Let the tree, knees up, and a nice repose. We're going to give him a fishing rod, just like so, and he's not trying real hard when it comes to trying to catch fish. If that makes any sense. Hi, Haley. Hi, Nico. So, and this giant has got a really big set of paws. And what's kind of cool is we're going to give this guy, this kid, a nice Asian sun hat. All right. I know it's stereotypical, but it's what I like. Okay. What we're going to draw is we're not going to draw all the fingers. We're going to kind of give this dude some really kind of meaty mitts here. I'm going to draw one more. He's coming down. Fingers. And that last finger on the inside, that little pinky. Okay. He's already grabbing. Grabbing the top of that hat. I'm gonna erase this, which is basically the top of his head. Hi, Cynthia. Oh, bunch of Sophias. How you guys doing? Happy Tuesday. All right. So now we have kind of the details of what's happening with his hand. Maybe giving him a little bit of a ragged shirt. All right. We're gonna make this kind of a bamboo pole. Kind of divided into sections, if that makes any sense. Keep it kind of loose and organic. Tie it off and in the water. It's got a grip on it, give it a little hand. And I'm not gonna get too detailed, we're just gonna give him a profile. Just like so. So we're gonna start building the environment around to set the scene here. Give this tree a little bit more girth on top here on this side. We're gonna erase the giant's arm being covered up by the tree itself. Okay. And we're gonna kind of fill this in with branches, going back, going across, more branches. And we're gonna go into the details of all this stuff in a little bit. Connect these lines, continue going up. Using a distant grip on my pencil as I'm doing these. So I get a nice kind of organic line. Not too structured, not too tight. Okay? I'm gonna do a few more branches, not too much, because I'm gonna basically use a lot of shading to kind of create the canopy of the tree. This is all going to get covered up. And kind of like what we did with the 100-acre wood drawing, we're going to use curving lines to help describe our tree here, as well as vertical lines. And we're going to go through and detail these later. Okay. Now we're going to kind of build the river. It's going to come down a bank, a grassy kind of bank. And things closer to water are going to have, a lot of foliage and be kind of lush and beautiful. Lots of green, because it's, there's a lot of moisture. I'm going to pull these lines down here. And we've done this before with pathways. We've done it with riverways and the landscape drawings that I've done with you guys. Pull these down. And then we're gonna make some rocks maybe here in the water. Okay. Maybe some cattails, more water plants, things like that. And these are just lines with kind of thicker shapes on the top. Okay. Okay. Some larger rocks in the water. Maybe rocks over here further out in the water. And then we're going to make a water line that kind of is lapping against this riverbank and meandering down. Okay. And we're going to kind of fill all this in with value shading and things like that. Now we're just kind of doing the outline. And I'm doing kind of loopy lines, multiple loopy lines that are kind of lapping against the bank here, where the giant and the fishing boy are kind of hanging out. And of course, we're going to show some ripples as to where the boy's line is in the water, kind of thing. I'm going to thicken that line up a little bit. Put some shadow back here, and maybe the horizon where the river is going is back there. We can put some indications of trees on the other bank, just to give it kind of this curve here so that, you know, your eye is following that. If that makes any sense. Okay. Maybe some more foliage back here. Maybe a mountain. Because we want to put a little bit of weight on this side. Hi guys. Hey Sven. Young Jay. Foley. Athena, how you doing? So we want to put a little bit of weight on the left-hand side because we have so much information on this right-hand side of our composition. Okay? We're going to put some more weight on this side through value shading. All right? Let's go back to our giant. We have our place marker for where we're going to put his features and things like that. He's big. Let's give him a hand over here. It's going to be his thumb tucked underneath here. We're going to give him some big knuckles because, you know, you think giants would have big, gigantic knuckles. Okay. He's just kind of got his fist kind of balled up a little bit here. Give him some knuckles. And I'm just making these little circles here, again, as placeholders. And then I'm going to go through and kind of darken these areas here to show the knuckles, these knuckle bones, as they're going down. Okay? And then I'm going to give him kind of a rough sleeve. Add some wrinkles to his sleeve here. Again, organic kind of natural edge, not just a straight line here. All right. Same thing here. Big, broad shoulders. All right, so that's a good kind of placeholder for us. Some more indications of wrinkles, etc. Go through, kind of spend a little time on his knuckles, fingernails. That's probably one of the hardest things for beginning artists to draw, are hands, fingers, especially, oh man, I spend a lot of time on hands when it comes to drawing boot camp. So many kids draw inappropriate fingers, I tell you. All right, now we're gonna give him a cool face. And what I'm thinking maybe is not only is he a giant, maybe he also has not hair, but maybe his hair is kind of tree-like. Toe fingers. Oh, please. One to talk no better. So I'm giving him kind of branches for hair. So he's almost blending in. Kenzie. All right, so we're going to, so I have the middle line here for the middle of his head, middle here for where I want to put his eyes. So we're going to kind of put these in. Give him nice big eyes, big irises. Okay. Now he's looking down, so the nose is going to come out a little bit further. I'm going to give him a nice kind of prominent nose. And we're going to have his pupils looking at the boy. I haven't seen that, but I will definitely check it out. Lock and key. Definitely one I want to look at. Hello, Tristan. Gonna give him some wrinkles on the top of his head. Ear. A hairline that is more tree than anything. And for something like this, I'm thinking, let's give him a beard. He's having fun, so he's going to have a smile on his face. So when you're drawing beards, you don't want to necessarily draw the entire lip, because you're just going to look, you're going to mostly see, if you look at someone with a beard, you're not seeing, it's a pretty full beard, you're not seeing their top lip much. So I'm just doing kind of sporadic lines here. All right. Again, tattered clothes, because, you know, what giant can go shopping in the Gap or whatever? Maybe he has some mended holes. And we'll show, like, really kind of crappy seams or crappy stitching. Okay. And yeah, okay. Maybe we'll put some, maybe the fisherman's got a basket. Broken line, and then we're going to do some horizontal lines going across, and some vertical lines, and darken the interior. Give it a handle. Okay, so we're going to try and make our light source coming from the right-hand side. All right. Gonna give a little shadow right there. I'm gonna use a paper towel so I'm not smudging so much on this one side. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go through and kind of darken some of these values, particularly the ones over here. I'm also going to go to my mountains, and like what I did in the mountainous landscape, because my light source is coming from the right, I'm going to go through and kind of pull down angles here to create shadow and work this way, this side, create some shadows and wait. Okay, real simple. And I'm going to go through again a little bit of cross hatching. And break up, just putting a little information in here. Okay. And those little details will give it more of a believability. Okay. I'm going to go in with some middle values here, as if these are some foliage in the background, maybe a stand of trees. Again, this is just adding the believability that we have depth on our page. And so I'm just going to make some squiggles back here of something that reminds the viewer of pine trees, right? Then I'm just sketching these out, using a scribble technique that I have shown before on my videos. And some vertical lines, some thicker vertical lines to represent the height of those trees. And I'm pushing stuff back to create that illusion, right? Foliage here. Okay. We're going to now work on creating some middle values here for the water. Okay, you guys see that? We're gonna go back up here, do some hard pressure, creating these branches, and we're gonna use less pressure on the top part. Darker, thicker lines on the bottom of our branches of our tree. Okay. Now I'm using this paper towel so I don't do too much smudging from my hand resting on the page as I'm doing these. Okay, again, lighter, less pressure on the top, darker on one side, on the bottom. Okay. Spend a little time here on our guy who's fishing. Not too much. We're gonna make him more almost like a silhouette with a little line around it to create that illusion that there's light kind of bouncing around him. And that is a trick of the trade. See that? I'm gonna do a little shading on the hand. Using cross hatching. Same kind of thing. We're gonna fill in a lot of values, and then we're gonna leave kind of like a white area around it to create that illusion. Reflective light. Switch pencils. Now, go through and erase that egg shape on the top. Don't want that. Now we're gonna figure out, okay, so we're gonna have foliage coming this way, going up, and kind of framing that out as in, this is where our leaf line is going to be for the tree. And so these branches are gonna kind of dive into that leaf line. And this is, again, a trick that I teach my students when they're always asking me, how do you draw trees? How do you draw leaves? Well, depending on what you want to do, you don't necessarily want to draw every single leaf, okay? You just don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to value shade around those branches to create a canopy of the illusion of leaves surrounding our branches, okay? So that little squiggly outline that I just drew was a placeholder for information of leaves. And the leaves are going to be kind of darker. And then our branches. Why? I want to use the tone of the paper, the white tone of the paper, to highlight those branches. And I don't want to spend too much time on the leaves. They're not going to be the focal point of this drawing anyway. The focal point of this drawing is the interaction between the giant and the boy fishing. Okay, so I'm just laying down value right now, which I'll be cleaning up a little bit later. Still got plenty of time. I'm gonna have some of this go into the giant's hair. Okay. Now that I got my values in, I can start to really darken the areas that I want to darken. And push some of this information to the back. If that makes any sense for you guys. It means that we're trying to push a lot of this information and kind of fade it out. Hi, sir. Well, so as you go through this, you're going to be pushing all this information to the back. So these areas are the ones I want to be really dark. So I'm applying a little bit more pressure. And I'm going to also use this time now to kind of refine the edge. And again, I'm kind of scribbling here to give it a natural kind of feel. See that? Okay. I'm going to do that over here. Curling up a little bit of the giant here. Because that's what I want to do with this information. I want to push it all the way to the back. I'll make it the focal point. And then we're going to do some corresponding shadows on our giant because he's going to be covered up by the tree's shadow. Okay. Hey, Taylor. Hey, Matt. Long time no talk. Again, you don't have to participate. You can just watch. Watch the process. No obligation to participate. So again, this is a rehash of a drawing that I did on a car ride home about 23 years ago, back from a conference at UC Riverside. I was part of the student council, and I was really bored because I hate car rides where I'm not driving. And I wanted to do something, and I drew this in my sketchbook. This is more of a mature take on what I did a long time ago. Again, this giant's going to have branches for hair, kind of blending in and melding with the tree where he's messing with the boy fisherman. And again, we're using value shading, where we're just using that value shading to describe the surface. And I'm putting heavier shadows on him right now because he's underneath the tree. And I'm going to use some areas, I'm going to leave some areas white on the edge, give it that illusion. Now I'm using marks that kind of also go in a direction that I want people to see that. It gives it that illusion that it's not flat. Because I'm not going to blend these so much. You see that? Hey, Holly. Timo. There we go. And I'm going to use Just kind of, again, that directional mark making. A little darker on the temple here. And I'm going to darken the beard's edge. Keeping it fun, keeping it loose. There we go. Back up to the tree. Start going the other way with my value shading. So again, I'm cross hatching. I'm using a distant grip on my pencil as I go through. And I'm now blending certain values with the pencil. And preserving some of my marks. And then I'm also going through and cleaning up, making my edge look like leaves. And I want to show some of these marks just because they're fun to show sometimes. So now that I have kind of like the shadows of my tree here, I'm going to start going in with the details of the branches themselves, using lines, weighted lines, cleaning these up a little bit, these edges. But not losing too much of just preserving that white. I want to preserve some of that white. I'm gonna give him some leaves on his hair, if that makes any sense. So I'm just using, again, kind of rounded lines here. And then I'm going to go through and add lines that define the length of these branches. And I'm keeping it really loose, Because again, this is not the focal point, but you know, these are details that you want to include that sell the drawing. Sell the look. And again, our light source is coming from the right. These are going to be darker. Putting in roots. Jack attack. Shadows, shadows, shadows. So we're just going through right now and just adding shadows. We have to go down to the water's edge pretty soon. Shadows, shadows, shadows. Okay. So when you're doing this, just have fun with it. Don't worry about how good does it look like Russell's. Don't worry about that. Just have fun with it. Make it your own. Maybe it's not a giant with a beard. Maybe it's a giant that looks like your best friend or your favorite teacher or not so favorite teacher. That's up to you. Okay. This is your drawing, not mine. The one that you make is yours. I'm just doing a demo to give you ideas of possibly what you can do. Not every mark is going to be perfect. Not every drawing is going to be perfect. Sometimes your drawings don't turn out the way you wanted them to. That's okay. The point is that you're learning from the experience of participating in the process of creating. That's all that matters. And not every drawing has to be precious either. Some drawings are just meant for you to learn from. Not necessarily academic, but as a way for you to learn of what you can and cannot do and gain confidence in every single drawing that you do. So I'm putting shadows on my rocks out here. Cattails. I'm going to put some shadows down here, and marks that represent the bank. Right? And then we're going to edge it, just using some really hard, heavy pressure lines that kind of show like this is a grassy edge here. We're going to kind of pull those together, and from that edge you just made, we're just going to pull. Not everything, just a few. Okay. Shade the picnic basket. All right. Good morning, Grishel. Okay. Now, we're going to just use some harder lines here to describe movement on the water. All right? Rock, water. Middle value. Kind of blend these in. Clean that line up a little bit. Whoop. Okay, as you can see, we're getting close. I still have some things I want to do. When it comes to value shading here. Okay, we're going to darken the values here on his shirt underneath his beard and chin. See that? Yeah. That's better. That's much better. It's kind of tough to come up with things to draw every single day. It is not easy. But I'm getting better at it. Today was tough. I just had kind of a artistic brain freeze or whatever. I just could not, for whatever reason, think of something to draw. And ultimately I had to go in the vault of my old sketchbooks and find something. I know that sounds like cheating, but when you're desperate, I tell you. Okay. There we go. And we are getting there. Darken some of these values here. And all I'm doing now is just kind of going in with some details, looking at things and going through and fixing areas that I think need to be fixed. I'm being a little anal retentive here. Sorry, but I am. And I'm keeping a lot of these marks because I want these textures in here. Which creates kind of a layering effect. All right. So, folks, it is Tuesday again. I will be doing this again tomorrow. And thank you so much for joining me today. This is Giant messing with Fisherman Boy, or Fishing Boy. Again, we'll be doing this again tomorrow at 11 o'clock every day during the week for your enjoyment and a little break from all the craziness that's going on in the world today. So thank you very much. See you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.